Hey, it's Tan. I'm starting a new project called All In, where I share stories about my life experiences and the lessons that I've learned along the way. Why? Because I've found that the people that naturally gravitate towards me like listening to my kind of stories. And there are common themes in the questions that I get asked and the answers that I give. So I thought that I would try something a little different and stretch myself and get out of my comfort zone and do something like this so that I can reach more of you. So excuse me while I fumble my way through this because I am really nervous. Like, I am sweating as I am doing this right now because I am totally outside of my comfort zone. But it's okay. I'm still going to push my way through this and I'm still going to do it. I've wanted to create something like this for many years, and the timing and the format of what I wanted to create hadn't ever felt quite right. But I feel like this is a good time for me to do this. So here I am, and here we go. I want to start off by saying that I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. I am blunt, I am direct, I am opinionated, and for those that are from my world, they'll be able to tell you that I will give you my opinion and tell you what I think, even if you don't ask for it, because that's the kind of person I am. I have a strong personality. I operate from a tough love kind of mindset, and I believe that hard truths and accountability are acts of kindness, and I believe that pushing people that you love to be the best that they can be, even if they can't see it for themselves, are acts of love. I love deep diving and honest and real conversations about the messiness and beauty of life. I love people watching. I love understanding how humans work and understanding the human mind. And I love learning. My main go-to people that have helped shape the way that I think and helped shape the way that I move about in the world, there are probably 5 or 6 people that are my go-to people. So they are Nicole Cody, Seth Godin, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Stephen Butler, and Lewis Howes. So if I'm the kind of personality that you would naturally gravitate to, and if my interests and the people that that have helped shape my life are the kinds of people that would help, that you would enjoy listening to, then I would welcome you to come on this adventure with me as I start this project to see where it goes. The next thing I want to say is everyone has a story, and I'm about to share my story. But before I share mine, I want to say that everyone has a story. Everyone is a main character in their own story, and depending on the story you play in your own head and the story that you tell everyone out in the streets, makes a difference in the world that you live, or the life that you get to live. It shapes everything. Your choices, the decisions you make, your mindset, the relationships you're in, the circumstances that you're in, it affects your whole life. And here's the thing, there will always be someone with a better story than yours, and there will always be someone with a sadder, worse story than yours. So what? What size violin do you want me to bring out? Is a line that I will often say, because your life is your life, it is what it is. And so the question that when I'm listening to stories from you guys that share stories with me, I will eventually get around to asking, what are you going to do about it? This is your story, this is your life, what are you going to do about it? So I'm big on making you feel empowered and making you the keeper and the master of your own life and the decisions and the choices that you make in your life. So here's where we get to the part where I share my story. And I am naturally a really super private person, and I don't like sharing stories about myself and my life. That's just the way that I have operated for the last 20, 30 years. But for the essence of what I'm trying to create in this space of diving deep and sharing stories about resilience and adversity, I am here turning up, sharing stories about me. So bear with me for a sec. Okay, I'm going to start off with the story that most people will know when they first get to know me, which is my professional story. So I started my own business at 23. I am 43 years old this year. So I've been running my own business. I've got a business called Hunter Management, and it operates out of Adelaide, Australia. So I've been running the business for 20 years. It is a project management, shop fitting, construction business, and we specialize in working with retailers and shopping centers. And so we're a very specialized business. So I'm a business owner. I've been running my business for 20 years. I love my business and I'm very proud of what I've been able to achieve. So from the get-go, you can see I started my business at 23. I was young when I started my own business. I am female and I am a person of color. So already I am breaking some barriers that is not common or typical for us in this environment. The industry that I work in is construction, predominantly, project managers, construction, tradies, and so it's a male-dominated industry. So I have worked my way through the business and in the industry where I am usually one of the senior leaders in the projects that I work on. When I'm running multi-million-dollar projects, I will be typically one of the seniors on the project telling everyone else what to do. Everyone else being I'm usually the only female or the only woman on these sites and on these projects, and there might be maybe one other, but otherwise the rest of the team, the rest of the projects, all the tradies, all the consultants, all the clients, all the engineers, they're all men. So I show up in a world where it's very male-dominated, male-heavy, and I still have been able to run a successful business doing what I do and being who I am. So 23, started my own business. It's been going for 20 years. What else is my story? I have 3 degrees. I have a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Chinese and Asian Studies. That degree has helped me understand the Asian side of my life, and it's helped me in business as well, and just understanding people. There's a huge difference in mindset between Eastern and Western philosophies, theories, and mindsets. So it's helped me with that, not only through my lived experience of being an Asian, but also through the theoretical things that I learned at uni as well. My second degree is a grad cert in business administration. So it's, on the same pathway of getting an MBA, but I graduated after the first year because that's all I wanted to learn. So I've got a grad cert in business administration. So I've got an understanding of business. And then my last degree is I've got a master's in project management. So I understand really well the processes that's required to run projects. So that. And then on the personal side, most people will know that I used to be married and then I divorced. And so I've got 2 daughters. They are, this year, they will be 14 and 16. And so when I separated from my ex-husband, my children were 3 and 18 months old. My youngest was in nappy still. And so from that point until today, I have been a single mother raising my 2 kids, and we have a great relationship. We are very close, and we are a very strong, tight-knit family. And what I would say is when most people hear my story, they think, you run your own business, you studied, and you're a single mum for most of this time. Yeah, I did all of those things. And so people are amazed at how I did that. And they ask, how did I do that? And to be honest, I don't know how I did it either. I just did it. I just turned up every day and I just took the next step. And so I guess me being a role model to you guys that are a few steps behind me shows you that whatever story, whatever situation you're in, I've given you a story of my life and some of the challenges that I've had over the years, and I've still shown up in a world, and I've been able to be, you know, a mother and still been able to study and have a business. I've been a wife and still managed to juggle family and business. I've been a single parent and still been able to juggle business and studying and all of those, and parenting. So I've been able to juggle a lot of life's challenges or balance life in a way that I've still been able to turn up in the world in a positive way. And so I guess I wanted to show you that if I can do it, then you can do it too. For the last couple of years, I've also been a lecturer teaching project management in business at one of the local universities here. And for the last 15, 16 years, I actively volunteer within my industries as well. And sometimes it's one-off events, like we do a lot for the environment. So we go and have tree planting days. But also I love business, and I love young entrepreneurs as well. And so for the last 10 years at least, I have been buddying up with young entrepreneurs within various organizations where I mentor them and their business idea and guide them through the early stages of their business, because I love business and I love being able to show other people how to make money. And so it's one of the things that I enjoy doing a lot. So I do all of those things in my time. I wouldn't say spare time, because I don't know that I've got spare time, but in my time and how I manage my life, these are the things that are important to me, and that's how I choose to show up in the world. So I guess when I often have conversations, I come from a place of really big understanding of hardship and struggle. And I guess people naturally gravitate to me to listen to my story because I understand the struggle and I understand hardship, but also I've chosen to make decisions for myself and my family where I don't stay in that place of struggle and hardship. So I've lived both sides of so many things. Like, I know what poverty feels like. I haven't told my other part of the story. Let me quickly do that now. So that's the public side of my story, where I have a business, I have my degrees, and I volunteer, and I'm a lecturer, and I have a family. So just a quick summary of my childhood, which will add a little bit more context and a bit more layering to who I am as well, is that I grew up in the early 80s. My parents were refugees. They came over and fled the Vietnam War in the late 70s. And so I grew up in a very low socio-demographic household and suburb. So I know poverty. I went to a school which was predominantly all white, and we were maybe 3 Asian families in the school. So I experienced a lot of racism and bullying as well. And there are other traumas as well that I experienced as a young child that I might dive into in future sessions together, but not now. But so growing up as in my childhood environment, I experienced a lot of traumas early on, but I don't want to say the word trauma because I just don't. It's just not the mindset that I keep. I'm not big on victim mentality. They are just the experiences that I had as a young person. And so the way I see it, they do not define who I am, and they have certainly shaped me, but they are not open wounds. They're not stories that I keep holding on to and narrating over and over again, and they're not stories that I share often. I see them as scars that I carry and hold that were part of my history. I'm not going to be able to erase my history, but they are scars that I have that are part of my history that have shaped who I've become, but they are not open wounds that I pick at and pick open often or over and over again, and they're not stories that I use to define myself. So that's some of the childhood environment that I grew up in. So going back to the interesting thing about my life, and I guess why I find myself having people naturally gravitate towards me when they are telling me their stories, is that I have a big understanding of where they've come from. Like, I understand what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to know what wealth feels like. I've worked as an employee, but I'm also a business owner. I've run my own business. I understand the hardships of running a business. I work in construction, so I know blue collar. I hang out with the tradies all the time, and actually it's one of my favorite people to hang out with when I'm in the trenches with them, just hanging out and spending time with them. But I also know white collar. I know how to sit in a boardroom and conduct myself when I'm having to run meetings, and I know how to turn up in a university and teach students and how to conduct myself in a formal academic way. So I know blue collar, white collar. I know being in the trenches, wearing safety boots and high vis and safety caps, safety hats. And I also know what it's like to sit in boardrooms as well. So I can chop and change myself and adapt myself to many environments. I grew up in a home where we didn't speak English, but then I had to navigate myself in the world and learn English because I was living in Australia. So I don't look like a typical Aussie, like a white Anglo Aussie, but I sound and think like an Aussie. But at the same time, I was born here, and I understand, or I know more than one other language. So I'm also Chinese and Vietnamese as well. So I can understand Chinese and Vietnamese, and I've got family overseas as well. But when I go over to Vietnam, where I've got family, I don't quite fit in there either, because I don't know the language that well, and I don't sound like them. So I don't fit in quite here, but I also don't fit in quite there. So I'm kind of like in no man's land, and that's part of the identity that I formed growing up. When I share my stories, or when people share their stories with me, I feel like I have a lot of understanding and empathy towards them, because I understand what it's like to be different. So what's All In going to be about? It's a work in progress. I'm not exactly sure, but I have a framework. It's going to be stories from my life. I love business. I love parenting. I love relationships. I love mentoring. I love spirituality. I love mindset. And so I guess it's all the things that I like, and I'm just going to share things with you. Things that I've learned along the way, that when I've listened to interesting books or listened to podcasts. I hope to interview people doing interesting things. There might be practical how-to sessions where, I work in construction. I've got access to so many tradies. So if you guys want to learn something or want to know how to do something, it would be cool for me to do a session with these guys where they teach us how to do things that we want to learn about. And I'm happy to take questions from you guys. We can do a what would Tan do session if she was in my shoes. So you can ask me questions and I will walk you through what I would do if I was in your situation. I think that would be quite fun, and I hope it'll be useful for you guys. So why did I create this? I did say at the beginning that I've been wanting to create something like this for many years now. I just didn't know what format to put it in, and the timing never felt right, but it feels right now. And so the reason why I created something like this is because I find myself talking to people a lot about these kinds of things all the time, and I want to reach more people, to help more people. And so here's the thing. So many people that I see are stuck in their lives or in their situations. They're stuck in jobs that they don't like. They're stuck in relationships that they're not happy in. They have narratives in their mind that don't serve them, and they're stuck in cages that sometimes they've built by themselves, and they don't even know that they've built themselves, and so they're not free because they're stuck. And for me, life's too short to live a mediocre life. Life is so wonderful, it's so beautiful, there's so many cool things to do outside, and people aren't living to the best of their potential. So I see so much potential in people, whether they are young people or old people, whether they are, I've always been an advocate for women because I'm all for women power, not because I need them to be more powerful, but I just need women to just step up in life. I am an advocate for people of color, for minorities, for those that know poverty or have experienced any sort of hardship where life's knocked them down and told them they couldn't be something they couldn't be. And so I had to figure out so much of this stuff on my own. as a person growing up and navigating myself in the world, because I didn't have role models around me that could help me, and that's okay. It is what it is. I found myself throwing myself in books and just trying to understand the world that I lived in. And so I wish that, you know, I had to figure out so much on my own that I wish that I had elders and mentors that are out there to guide me. So I created this for you guys because I didn't have anyone like that growing up. So if I can be that person for you that I didn't have in my life, and if I can offer you a story or some sort of life experience or something to think about, or acknowledge your situation and just give you some encouragement in life, I'm here to be that person for you, to encourage you and to be a better version of yourself and to encourage you and cheer you on. So that's who I am, and this is what I'm trying to create in this project. I am a person that has run my own business. I know construction. I work in a male-dominated industry. I am a university lecturer. I am a business mentor. I am a parent. I'm a single parent. I know what it's like to be married. I know what it's like to be single. I know what it's like to be divorced. I know the challenges in all of those different stages of life. I've spent, nearly 20 years showing up in a world as authentically as I can. And so if I can help guide you and shape you, then this is why I've created this project. This project is about me being all in. I feel like for the last, 20 years, I'd say, I've had to show up in a way, I've always tried to show up in a way that's real and authentic. Not without its challenges and barriers along the way, and I've had to have masks on to survive in the world. But I feel like I've lived such a rich life now that I've had so much experiences that I've come out the other side, or I'm at a point in my life where I can turn up and share my stories with you guys that are a few steps behind me in a way that will be helpful. So everyone has a story. What's yours? My pick is on you showing up in the world as you are, because every other role is taken. So just be you and be real, and be open to learning, be open to being a forever student, be kind and be generous, because the world needs more people to care and the world needs more people willing to go all in.